That is a brilliant effort on goal.
He's playing with confidence. Deserves to see inside 50.
Inside 50, good hands.
Drilling it into centre half forward. That was end-to-end football at its best.
Back-to-back goals either side of quarter time.
But he's done with the Bulldogs.
I'd find somebody for you. There ain't no wall I wouldn't run through. In your corner when we're ringing the bell. Come hell or high water. I'd find somebody for you.
Yes, g'day WAFL fans. Welcome one and all to another edition of Around the WAFL, your go-to WAFL podcast in season 2026 on the Around the WAFL YouTube page and, of course, your podcast provider. We do recaps every Monday night and previews every Thursday night. And it's our first preview show of the season because it's all about the ATCO WAFLW season. Yes, it opens on Saturday with 4 huge games, and we're here to preview them all for you today here on Around the WAFL. Paul Persick's my name. Great to have your company. And getting set for another season of commentary in the WAFLW is Ethan Roth. It's finally here, Rothy. How pumped up are you?
Yeah, very pumped up. Thanks, Paul. And it's going to be a wet one on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be very wet, but nonetheless, all pushing ahead for round one. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
Especially after the 6 months off season since that amazing grand final last August. There's a lot of expectation and a lot of talk that this could be an even closer season.
Yeah, you'd hope so. You only have to look at the final series, as we said on Monday, to see how close it was towards the tight end, towards the back end. So hopefully we can sort of continue where we left off with.
Absolutely. Well, today's show is all about WAFLW, not just previewing the opening round. I went on location to Steel Blue Oval to chat with Jason Burton as they eye redemption following their grand final loss. Jason Burton in his second year as Swan Districts coach. I also spoke with Pia Faletti from South Fremantle earlier today at the time of the recording, heading into their People's Derby in round one against East Fremantle, which is going to have plenty of spite. There's no doubt about that. You can check us out on our Facebook and our Instagram as well. That'll be gratefully appreciated if you could give us a like and a follow as well. And you can check us out on YouTube as well. Let's get to some of the items that have been making the WAFL news cycle over the last couple of days, Rothy. The WAFL season formally launched on Wednesday at Optus Stadium, and even Jared Schofield in the paper today saying it's going to be a lot closer in the WAFL men's as well. Maybe that fight for the 5 could be decided between 7 or 8 teams in the competition. Yeah,
and that's what you want, isn't it? You know, you want the finals race up for grabs right until the pointy end. So hopefully that is the case, and I think Jared and the Lions could be in that conversation.
They're a rejuvenated side, aren't they? How good was the shot of, as you can see here, all the WAFLW captains holding up the cup along with the 2 umpires above Optus Stadium? They know they're taking the WAFLW competition to a higher level with ATCO backing.
Yeah, it's always an exciting time of year, you know, the photo shoots and the like, and the captain's in full force. So obviously a few of those players have tasted success in the past, a few haven't. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. And yeah, I mean, who knows, we'll be holding that cup up come, you know, the back end of August.
Absolutely. We can't wait for it, but the road begins on Saturday. On to the men's side of the WAFL. Ross McQueen, of course, his extension for a couple of years. He's going to be at the Royals until 2028. Many praising the extension, and rightfully so. I think, you know, East Perth and Ross McQueen have got a good rapport, and it was a no-brainer that they would go and extend his contract up to the end of 2028. East Perth have got their man for the long term.
They do, and, you know, back-to-back grand finals, back-to-back grand final losses. So, as we said on Monday, they'll be more determined than ever to win one for Ross McQueen. And yeah, he's a very experienced coach. He's been around, you know, beyond his East Perth days a long time. So
Colts level in particular, getting it done with Claremont.
Exactly right. So yeah, might just take a little bit extra time than Royals fans could want, but you know, hopefully for their sake, it's worth the wait in the end.
Could be third time lucky in 2026. Ross McQueen at the Royals until the end of 2028. Now, there has been a saga as well surrounding East Fremantle, obviously with the fence out at Goodgrocer Park. It has taken an interesting development with, of course, WA Football and the town of East Fremantle been in discussions about the fence. The fence that they have proposed is only about 1.1 metres high, and it could cost around about $316,000. The good thing about this is at least they're putting some sort of plan together, and sooner or later this circus can come to an end and the Sharks can get on with playing footy.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it would probably come to an end a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, obviously, as we say, like, news does the rounds when footy's not on. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people have had their opinions on the fence, and yeah, I mean, I think we just need to get on with it for now.
Just get on with it, and you know, if they have to put up a fence for WAFL games, then so be it, because it is a community park at the end of the day. You know, besides being the home of the East Fremantle Football Club, when there's WAFL games not on, Community Park is free there for everybody. There's just got to be some common sense between WA football and the town of East Fremantle.
Yeah, there's pros and cons. Like, you can see why, those in favour of no fence, like, obviously does bring more people in, free entry, and they make up sales in other ways through bar and that sort of thing. But then in terms of everyone being on the same page, or waffle clubs, wanting, having a fence and being implemented, it's you can see it from both ways. But I think the main thing is that the end is in sight for this topic.
Yes, let's hope so sooner rather than later. Of course, as Rothy said, it is forecast to be a wet round of WAFLW football, the opening round of the WAFLW, because of the impact of Cyclone Narelle. We've already had a couple of matches in the futures and Colts pre-season matches be postponed as a result. We should largely be okay with all the matches going ahead as proceeded, but credit to WA football. Of course, they've got their lightning policy in effect as well in case that does come about. So hopefully it doesn't have to be enacted, but they've got that thing all set in stone when it does come down.
Yeah, it's probably something we're not used to, is it? Late March, early April, sure, winter's coming up, but in terms of lightning and cyclones round one, it's sort of a rarity. Happened obviously in the AFL over on the east coast of Australia, but it's sort of rare for any time of year for a cyclone, let alone late March.
Yeah, plenty of grounds are going to be covered in water and mud, but these players, they're tough as nails. They'll just get on with it, no doubt about that. This is Around the Waffle. Paul Persick and Ethan Roth with you. Our first Thursday preview show on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel in collaboration with the WA Sporting Hub. That is, of course, an amalgamation with Front Row Screens and Associates. We thank them for coming on board. And, of course, big thanks to our backers for 2026, Sullivan Logistics, of course, proud supporter of the WAFL, Front Row Screens, also District Promotions led by Barry Miles and his team, and, of course, the great folks at Grant's Car Stereo in Morley, led by Grant Lauderback and his team. This is Around the Waffle. Let's get right into our first bit of business for round one of WAFLW. Now, South Fremantle, Rothy, they are going to be under the spotlight with a lot of expectations on them, with plenty of new faces in the side. Matilda Hyde, obviously, being formerly of Fremantle and of Collingwood, and the biggest coup of the lot, Ash Gomes, making her way over from East to South Fremantle in what was controversial circumstances at first, but she's found her love of football again after joining South Fremantle. There was a great article by Code Sports earlier today about Ash Gomes breaking her silence following her axing at East Fremantle, and now she's in what is a pretty good environment, according to Ash herself, over at South Fremantle.
Yeah, and I think, the horrendous conditions on Saturday could play a favour for her. A contested type of player, can play on the outside as well, but it could be suited for her very well against her old team.
I spoke with Ash's coach, Pia Faletti, who's going into another year as South Fremantle coach, and there's a lot going on over there at South Fremantle. Obviously, the off-season dramas with Ash Gomes' arrival certainly did play a part in just motivating the side a little bit more in 2026 after missing the finals for the last couple of years. I spoke with Pia Faletti a little earlier today before this recording about the season's expectations and the anticipation of what could be a derby full of fight and spite on Saturday afternoon. Coach of South Fremantle, Pia Faletti, joins me here on Around the Waffle. Pia, your side has been geared up for quite a long time for season 2026 with the player moves and changes within the club. How are you feeling about season 2026?
Yeah, as always, I'm very optimistic and very excited. Pre-season, no matter how you seem to schedule it, always seems really long. So myself and the players and the rest of the staff are just really keen to get round one underway and our season in motion.
You've had two exciting new faces be brought into the South Fremantle side. We'll start off with Michaela Hyde. Of course, AFL experience she's got under her belt at the Dockers and Collingwood. She's got tremendous commitment to the cause when you're looking at her experience and leadership skills. As far as, her role in the side directly, what can she bring to the table with South Fremantle looking to make a massive tilt to the fore?
Yeah, obviously Michaela's played a footy across a lot of levels and from a young age, so she's one of those players that has, is still quite young but has a lot of experience, obviously originally coming from WA and playing in our comp. She will bring the know-how in terms of when games are on the line and what we need to do to win them. She's going to be really big in helping kind of guide out there on field. So while she doesn't have a formalised leadership role, definitely girls will look to her for her experience and her understanding of those tight and sticky situations, how to get out of them.
She can play many roles, can she? Strong in midfield and strong in stints inside 50.
Yeah, absolutely. So she's probably played across, all three lines over her career so far. So that's obviously very handy as well in terms of versatility and if we need to use her. Hopefully we can just focus on keeping her in one line. But, she's very open, obviously, to, playing where she needs to for the team and also, putting her best foot forward in whatever position she takes the field in.
Now, not only Michaela Hyatt is part of the Bulldogs family in 2026, dare I say it, the biggest coup in WAFLW football. Ash Gomes crossing enemy lines to go from East Fremantle to South Fremantle. What first convinced her to go over to South Fremantle as far as, the playing group is concerned and the prospects of South Fremantle heading into this year?
Yeah, when we had a chat with Ash, she was looking for a place to love her footy again. Obviously, it was a really difficult situation for her, and she was probably weighing up whether she continued to play. And we were just really keen to give her the opportunity to come and play and use her strengths. Again, it could have been a year where she just decided to play football and not use her leadership, which obviously goes hand in hand with Ash Gomes' leadership. But once she got down and kind of saw the exciting prospects in a youthful side with some experience as well, she was really keen to help. And again, having been in grand finals, she's someone who on field can definitely help us when the game's on the line, get us over the line.
And the Bulldogs, the playing environment over there at South Fremantle is very good. You welcome a lot of players and, they blend into the playing culture almost immediately, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really big driving factor of us making an environment that's welcoming, where everyone can have their aspirations and still fit into what we're trying to do in terms of a team. So we acknowledge that everyone's on a different pathway and a different journey with their footy, and some aspire still to play at the highest level and others are content, playing state league. But yeah, we are really keen on embracing everyone's aspirations and finding a home for them at South where they can showcase their strengths.
South Fremantle coach Pia Faletti is speaking with me here on Around the WAFL as we look ahead to WAFLW Round 1 of 2026. Speaking of Round 1, it's sort of fitting in a way, isn't it, with all the dramas that have been going on at the two Fremantle clubs, that they should meet in the opening round on Saturday in the People's Derby at Fremantle Community Bank Oval. And considering not just that, but also the forthcoming weather forecast that we've had, a lot of rain, a lot of mud, it's expected to be a heavy grind between the two traditional rivals of WA football. Do you expect it to be one full of feeling with the build-up that's been going on?
Yeah, it's hard to eliminate that outside noise completely. And as I said before, our players are just really keen to get on the park and get playing footy. I think the practice match has really lit a fire in them there to lock into round one. Yeah, there'll always be outside noise and emotion. Footy is an emotional game at heart. People really care about results and care about performance. And, that means there probably will be a bit of spice, but we're trying to keep it as business as usual for this week, and then let our footy do the talking on field.
It's down to that drive that you mentioned earlier, the drive that you've instilled in your players and they've instilled in themselves in turn, regardless of the noise that's been going on off the field, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important, and it's what we're all here for. We're here I'm here to coach footy. The players are here to play footy. So if you get focused on the other stuff, it's only going to impact it in a negative way. So we just focus on controlling what we can control, and I think that is what keeps the players hungry for those results. Is we want to play finals footy. We want to be feared by other clubs in the comp, and that makes every training session an opportunity to get better.
Drive, hunger and desire, no doubt you and the Bulldogs are set to unleash in 2026, as the club motto says. It's going to be a big year, Pia. We wish you all the very best for the season, and of course with the Derby coming up on Saturday, it's going to be a great way to open the season. Thanks for your time here on Around the WAFL. Good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Paul.
And there it was, Pia Faletti, the coach of South Fremantle, Speaks very honestly, as you know, every coach has got to. You know, you've got to be honest and direct from a coach's perspective, because you know you don't want to go into a pre-season keeping everybody guessing.
Yeah, and second year in the role, so a bit more better for the run, you'd have to say. And yeah, just a pioneer in terms of what she's been able to do for WA football up until this point. So probably no better leader, especially from a women's perspective, that South Fremantle can follow. And for their sake, I mean, they got they would have circled this date for a long time, the round 1 derby. So here it is finally.
I think they circled it the day the fixtures got announced. I reckon South Fremantle, they would have circled March 28, 2026 on the day they got released. We're going to take a quick commercial break here on Around the Waffle. When we do come back, we'll preview all the 4 matches that are coming your way on Saturday for the opening round of the WAFLW season. Stay where you are. More in a moment.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And welcome back to Around the Waffle. You are watching Around the Waffle on the show's YouTube channel in collaboration with the WA Sporting Hub, and of course on your podcast service. Paul Persick and Ethan Roth with you, and a big thanks as well to the Hen House out here in Osborne Park. This is where, of course, Rothy, you record the Shark Tale show. A couple of great episodes you've had as of late. A job very well done. And we do thank Tom and staff over there at the Hen House here in Osborne Park. Let's get to the action, Rothy. Round 1 of the WAFLW. It's expected to be wet and wild, but it's going to be 4 ferocious contests being fought out in the wet conditions. We'll start off with a Sullivan Logistics Stadium double-header, Rothy. This is at 1:05 p.m. This and all the WAFLW matches this season, in fact, is going to be on the WA Football YouTube channel, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. For the Royals and the Thunder, a lot of youth in both sides. East Perth and Peel have got some new faces in the side. A lot of expectations surrounding their campaigns after a disappointing 2025. You've been around the WAFLW circles a lot closer, Rothy. What do you make of both sides' preparations heading into this year?
Yeah, both sides are developing sides. I mean, you only have to look at where they finished last year. They obviously both struggled. Peel Thunder probably just too heavily reliant on 1 or 2 players inside that midfield, and East Perth, yeah, a lot of young players with still a relatively new coach and system. So, yeah, these teams, I think it's going to be a really good test for both of them to see where they're at, because I think they'll both believe that they're genuine chances to win. Not to say they won't think that about other opponents, but I think the difference between going 1-0 and 0-1 to start the year can't be underestimated.
No, it certainly can't, but it's not very daunting because it is only round 1 when you're looking at it. So the team losing this round 1 game obviously is going to have their backs to the wall. They'll feel a bit under pressure, but they know that they've got 17 more games coming up afterwards to build a very, very good team. And the 2 coaches obviously have got that right intent clear.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's a long season ahead, so there's plenty of work to be put into practice in terms of, it's probably not the be-all and end-all of this result, albeit, as I just said, you want to start off the year well. But, yeah, I think Peel Thunder probably go in as slight favourites, just given they've got a little bit more experience, I'd say.
Especially around midfield, because, that was where their strongest area of play was. Their midfield, especially their pressure around the football, their midfielders are some pretty good tacklers, and I reckon they can stifle East Perth out of any opportunities to get out of midfield, because scoring was East Perth's biggest struggle in 2025, and they'll look to improve on that in 2026, but I'm not sure if East Perth have the forward options to bolster the scoring pressure, especially against that Peel midfield.
Yeah, exactly, and I think you mentioned the tacklers there, so Ebony Bilsich has been one who's led the way in that aspect, and she is a leader. So, just that experience in the midfield probably, for mine, gives them the upper hand. But having said that, they need to be able to score goals as well. So, and I think for East Perth, someone like Lucy Greenwood was in the State 18s program last year. Didn't realise the draft dream just yet, but another year to sort of put her hand up and prove to the outsiders that WAFLW can be her forte.
But I reckon East Perth can be in with a chance, especially when they've got two former Swans, Courtney Zapara and Hope Ugle-Hayward. I reckon that they can spark East Perth into this one. Even though the conditions are not going to be conducive to players of their calibre, I reckon they can spark them with, pure toughness and pressure. They just go in, grit at the football, and they just show great discipline as well. So it could be those two that might spark it up for East Perth, and they're every chance of causing a bit of a shock and beating Peel Thunder, but the last time they met wasn't so easy.
Yeah, and you mentioned sort of the players coming in there, but they've also lost a couple. So like Meg McCauley comes out from the team. She's obviously at East Fremantle now. I suppose it goes both ways. But Peel Thunder, just looking at sort of the players from last year, I mentioned Bilsich there. They've got a few talented players across the board as well. So, I think it's going to be hopefully a close game. It's probably going to be a low-scoring game like all the games this weekend, just given the weather. But Chloe Wrigley, I mentioned off the top that they've probably been too reliant on players, and she's the one in focus. Like, she just carried them last year. Probably too much, and that's not a knock on her. It's a knock on the others around her to support her, because she was just getting 25 plus a week, hitting the scoreboard. But, you can't be too reliant on one player.
She needs that backup in midfield as well. I mean, she needs the support from the likes of Gracie Fenton, Tiama Collard, Kate Bartlett as well, and Zoe Bailey. If they can't get themselves into the game and back up Chloe Wrigley in midfield and provide that extra source of support, they're just going to be overrun by an East Perth midfield who, not as experienced, but youth can be a blessing in disguise for a side that is still developing into a good combination.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really intrigued to see how it goes, and I think the winner of this, it could really give them a confidence booster heading into future weeks, because let's face it, they haven't had that winning feeling as much as they would have liked in 2025 and previous to that.
Who does win with that in mind?
I think Pure Thunder, for those reasons I highlight, just a bit more experience, and I think through that midfield, the likes of Wrigley and Cora, I think they'll get on top. But I think wet weather does funny things, so it's going to be who can adapt as well. But for mine, it's Pure Thunder.
That's why I'm going the other way. Wet weather's a great equaliser. I'm going to go East Perth in an early shock, especially with those two ex-Swans. I'm going to have my eyes feasted on them to see what sort of impact in the game they can make. So, East Perth, they deliver an early season shock. It'll do their confidence and the coach's confidence the world of good.
Yeah, absolutely. Jess Centenary will be happy with that. But obviously, you've got to go out and deliver now. So hopefully for East Perth's fans' sake, they can live up to your call.
No doubt about it. Let's see if Subiaco can live up to their expectations after falling one kick short of the grand final. They take on West Perth in the next leg of the Sullivan Logistics doubleheader. This one's at 3:10 in the afternoon, and this is a massive game, no doubt about that. Subiaco want to build on this great season to make it to the preliminary final, but can they overcome a West Perth side who are getting plenty of their leaders back, and a key full forward from South Fremantle is now entering the West Perth system? For me, I reckon it's going to be which forward line is the more stable. Subiaco obviously have lost Olivia Wolmerans to the AFLW draft. That leaves them short of one key weapon up forward, while West Perth have gained one themselves in Zoe Huggett. I think it's going to be down to the forward lines in the end.
I think that could be the game change, honestly. I mean, Zoe Huggett hasn't made a debut for West Perth yet, but she will. But if she carries even half of the form that she was doing with South Fremantle, then it's going to be a challenge for the Subiaco defence. I think Dana Lee's probably been typically the deepest defender on that last line, so maybe that'll be the role for her on someone like a Huggett, albeit giving away a little bit of height. But it's also the midfield. I mean, the three-headed monster of Petreski, Shepherd, Steen as well. They'll get to work. We know what they'll do. It's just whether they can convert. And I think, as I said on Monday, I think potentially we might realise how good Olivia Wolmerans was for Subiaco And not to say people didn't realise that clearly she went pick 1 in the draft, but I think it's a massive hole. At the other end of the ground, Olivia Crane adds defensive depth. She's not there being drafted to Port Adelaide. So I think it's going to be a test. We talk about experience leading the way. This is the time for Subiaco to showcase that with the State 18s players not as strong as they were carrying the team last year.
And those two faces that you mentioned drafted into the AFLW system, but they still carry some great depth, especially in midfield. Petrevsky, the Dara Kerr medalist from last year, she's expected to tear it up, maybe get her another 35 possessions. She gets them every week. Looking forward to seeing how she goes. They've got Charlotte Tompkin, Annabelle Johnson in the side. Ruby Hobbs is going to be playing on that outside wing role as well. If they can get more of the football than West Perth and get that run on from the outset, that could be a key for them over a West Perth side. Okay, they've got a good blend of a depth, youth and experience, I should say, but of course they're without Mia Russo, their chief ball getter, who's in the AFLW system. Who are they going to turn to in that midfield role? They could turn to Megan Norbury, Ellie McAvoy in the ruck, and Catherine Bennett maybe, who could play a bit of midfield and up forward as well. She's going to be making her return on Saturday from an ACL injury that kept her out last year.
Yeah, perseverance for her. And just looking at the team lineups, I mean, you mentioned Johnson now coming off the Eagles list. She'll be a really vital player. I think there's a few young players to highlight as well. So Arabella Nelson, who's in the State 16 squad, she's going to be playing league footy, which is great to see. You've also got players who come up from the success of the Rogers Cup, such as Sophie Fisher and company, Nanup as well. So bit of youth being implemented for West Perth. I think Harley Eppes has been added to the leadership group as in the captain, the vice captaincy role. So she'll go have it roll down back to support Lee as we covered there. And also Marley Kelman, who's another State 16s prodigy coming through from a Subiaco perspective to play. So it's a few debutantes as well across the board, as much as we've highlighted the star players that we know of already.
For West Perth, the forward line could win it if they can emerge victorious. They've got Huggett and Hongel, Bennett, Sarah Rio, Lune van den Heever. Subiaco, they want to equalise that by containing the possession as much as possible and keep West Perth's forwards out of the game. The wet conditions are going to be a big help, and that's why I've gone with Subiaco. Okay, they're not usually a wet weather side. They rarely play wet weather football, although they didn't in the preliminary final. It was more dry that, caught them off guard, the dry conditions. But if that midfield is going to contain West Perth, they're going to have to keep track of Maya Robus, the number 10 for West Perth, who's playing in the centre. And it's going to be a tough task because last time they met, if you remember, Subiaco went down by 8 points. So they do not want a repeat of that, which was from the last round of the season.
Yeah, round 16 at Sullivan Logistics Stadium was a close game, and I'm actually going to go for West Perth. I think they'll cause, you could say, an upset, but I don't think Subiaco are favourites by much. I think they've got just stacked across the board, and Subiaco are as well, but I just don't think Subiaco have much forward line options. Like you mentioned Huggett, we mentioned Bennett, but they've also got the two Van den Heevers as well, who can rotate between them. So I guess for their sake, they want dry weather footy. But I think when the push comes to shove, I think West Perth can probably capitalise on the scoreboard, not through just one or two options, but upwards of 4 or 5.
Would you say in the wet conditions that they're a more mobile side compared to Subiaco?
I guess we have to wait and see. They probably have a bit more key position depth, so with that, maybe that frees Subiaco up a bit. But I think time will tell.
Certainly will. Big game, that one, to open the season for Subiaco and West Perth. That's at 3:10. But now we go to the big one. This is no doubt one of the games of the round. There's obviously more than one, but I feel this one is going to have plenty of spite between the two teams. The grand final rematch at 4 o'clock from Revo Fitness Stadium. And, of course, my right-hand man, Ethan Roth, is going to be on the call for this one. This is going to be a grand final rematch for the ages. The wet conditions are obviously going to play a great leveller. Claremont looking for a hat-trick this year. Swan Districts eyeing off the mission of redemption under Jason Burton. This game is going to be one that's going to be on a tightrope all afternoon.
It will be, and you don't have to search too far and wide for motivation if you're a Swans player. Redemption, you could say, probably not quite. You can't. I don't fully buy into that because what's happened, and this is a new season, albeit respecting the rivalry and what did take place in a 1-point thriller. But yeah, obviously premiership players across the board and players who won't be there, obviously through AFLW being drafted. But
Kate Orme being one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Sakaris Daddario being picked up. So there'll be changes for either side. But I think expect this one to sort of continue where it left off.
It certainly will. Don't expect anything less than maximum intensity, which is what we saw on Grand Final Day last August. But it's going to be played in somewhat similar conditions, not to the extent of what it's going to be on Saturday, because it was pretty wet out at Mineral Resources Park on Grand Final Day last August. Rain's going to be a little bit heavier. The ground's going to be a little bit slippery. It won't be conducive to high-scoring footy, but it will be to high-possession footy, and it's going to be who capitalises on that high-possession game the better. And the Swans and Claremont both are star-studded. But, Claremont Harkin leading that midfield brigade for Swan Districts. Got good firepower up forward in the form of Emily Maguire, who I reckon is going to have a big year for Swan Districts. She's really worked hard on her goal kicking in the forward line, has put in a lot of work during the pre-season, and I reckon she could be that chief threat for Claremont's back six to try and shut down.
Yeah, and you throw the likes of Summer Yaron in there, who, of course, broke out in the grand final, kicked all their goals on grand final day,
right.
So she'll get some confidence from that, and we'll be hoping to replicate something similar. Swans have the best list in the comp for mine. You just go through it, and there's just stars left, right, and centre. I mean, I think they've easily got the best list, to be honest, in the competition.
Well, you do present a good case.
I think it's, obviously Claremont have done what they've done, but I think, when you have another year into the likes of Jamie Henry, who's been working super hard, I know, of the off-season, another year into her as a 20, 21-year-old.
And another year for the Ortlip sisters at Claremont as well.
That's it. I think, Swan Districts, it should be really exciting times ahead for them, and I think what they did last year should only be the start. But I think, you can't go past what Claremont have done as well, and you have to respect that and know that a Jack Schwartz led team is always going to be up for the fight.
No doubt. WAFLW state coach Jack Schwartz, he's got the runs on the board, and he's going to get more of it as he looks for that three-peat. And, of course, his counterpart, Jason Burton, in his second year at Swan Districts coach. Obviously, he's got to the grand final in his first year. Obviously, a second year can be more difficult than a first year because a lot of people expect too much of you in the second year. But I think Jason Burton's got this list down pat when you're looking at it, and I will agree they have got the best list in the competition because of the blend of youth and experience that they've got. And they've got some great players coming out of the Rogers Cup as well that are looking to make a prime impact in the league side, and could be the most all-round playing list in the WAFLW competition when you're looking at depth, mobility, versatility and impact on a game. I reckon they've got a little bit more than what Claremont have got at the moment.
Yeah, I think that one of the main reasons why I say best list is because the way that footy is played now with run and carry, they seem to do that. That's their style. So you mentioned the youth coming through, such as Grace Hurst and Naomi Baker has been there for a little while, but she likes to run and carry. Luca Davis had a really good, introduction into WAFLW footy. So, that's probably where I see them, but obviously Saturday's going to be hard to do that, so they'll have to adapt. Yeah,
run and carry is going to be thrown out the window with the wet conditions, and it's all going to be down to rather a physically grinding game. And I say physically grinding by there's going to be a lot of tackles, there's going to be a lot of stoppage-heavy football, but it's going to be who finds that space inside that forward 50 whenever they get the ball out of the congestion and find that scoreboard pressure. And with that, I've gone Swan Districts. I feel the Swans, with their all-round playing group, I reckon they can get the better of the Tigers, even in the wet conditions. And the Tigers, they will match them. They match them in every department, sometimes more. But I've gone the Swans. I reckon they've got that extra fire in the belly to try and avenge that grand final defeat. So I'm going with the Swans.
For all the points I raised with Swan Districts, I'm actually going to go Claremont. I think at home, they're very tough to beat, of course.
Absolutely.
And I think, great things to come for Swan Districts. But I think the slog of the game, the nature of the game will probably suit Claremont, although I think Jamie Henry will get to work still and have high numbers, and that'll lead the way. But I'm going to say Claremont in a close one.
We've gone three different. We couldn't have been any more different to start the season, but good luck with the call nonetheless. That's going to be live on the WA Football YouTube channel from around about 4 o'clock, so you don't want to miss it, and you don't want to miss this one either. Rothy, in the time that we've been covering WAFLW and the time the modern format of the WAFLW competition has been around, I don't think I can recall a Fremantle Derby or People's Derby as spiteful as what this one is going to be, as anticipated as what this one is going to be. Saturday, 4:25 at Fremantle Oval, live on YouTube. South Fremantle taking on East Fremantle. Dean Eames at East Fremantle in his first game as coach, up against Pia Faletti in her second year as Bulldog coach, and with Ash Gomes crossing enemy lines to go from east to south, there's going to be plenty of feeling at Freo Oval on Saturday.
This has got grudge match written all over it, and it probably did the moment the fixtures were released. Obviously Entwistle and Evans going over to the enemy territory as well. So, you say it's going to be spiteful, and we say that with a casting our mind back 12 months ago where Zoe Huggett, obviously she's moved on now, but kicked the winning goal and a tremendous comeback in their first win in a couple of years in a derby. So they've got a bit to live up to in terms of backing that up with a round one derby year to follow. But nonetheless, new season and East Fremantle, there's been so much change there. I mean, I think, their list, you look at it and the amount of players that are sort of 20 or under, I mean, they're averaging... I spoke to Dave Eames the other day and... it's almost like a Rogers Cup team. Obviously, they've got, a bit of experience and they play better than that. But the youth is hard to miss.
It's the younger side in the competition, along with Swan Districts, believe it or not. And when you're looking at the players that have been brought in from the Rogers Cup, it's really a who's who. And that's the great unknown about this East Fremantle side. You never know what they're going to bring up. David Eames did say on radio earlier today, before this recording, that... with the youth that's being brought in, they're going to play a more fast, attacking, pace-orientated brand of football because, the youth in that side, they've got the greater durability of in the legs compared to the more experienced players in that side because these days in football, whether it's played in wet or dry conditions, it's the durability of the legs that keeps the player going for 4 quarters. And who knows, maybe the youth in that side could be a blessing in disguise against the more experienced South Fremantle side. Yeah,
in many ways, they have a free run at it. I know that sounds a weird thing to say, but they can just go out there and see what they're made of, really. I mean, I don't think there's too much expectation of East Fremantle this year.
Nothing to lose.
They can just go out there and have a bit of fun. So, and Dave Ames has expressed he's very skills based. He's very fundamentals based as well. So, hopefully we'll be able to see that in action. Maybe not the first week in entirety because of the conditions, but in the future weeks.
Absolutely. The dry conditions obviously will give East Fremantle a greater idea of what sort of game plan they're going to go with, but this is going to be a real test, and no bigger test, not just against their rivals, but obviously the heavy rain and storms that are being forecast. So it's going to be wet weather footy all over, as we have discussed repeatedly in the 3 games previously that we've previewed here on Around the Waffle. Just on the South Fremantle faces that have come into the side, obviously Entwistle, state representative a couple of years ago, Michaela Tuakarena, 17 games of AFLW with the Dockers. She's taken a year off due to pregnancy, given birth to a child, and she's back on the field ready to go. And of course, Michaela Hyde from Collingwood via Fremantle, 40 games of AFLW experience. So it's great that the experience that they've got in, but it's going to be about how you dish up those first results in the first month that'll determine where you're going to be. And this is no greater test.
Yeah, it's you're right. And I think if you look at it overall, I think South Fremantle a better place for the now, but I think East Fremantle are trying to set up for the future. And so I think, as you might hear with our tip, they're probably going to go in as somewhat of a heavy favourite, South Fremantle, but that doesn't mean what's to come with East Fremantle won't be shown. So I think, it's going to be really interesting, and I think South Fremantle, as I said, they're probably preparing a bit more for the now, whereas East Fremantle, they've got probably a bigger project in mind.
Well, I'll tell you what, if East Fremantle do get up in that opening round, just like they have done for the last couple of times that they have met South Fremantle in more recent years, it could be the start of something big this year, because we know what East Fremantle can do with a young side. Of course, taking them to grand finals and premierships in 4 or 5 years since gone. But I don't know. I'm torn on this game, to be honest. I'm just going to have to go South Fremantle because of the new experienced faces.
Yeah, I'm going South Fremantle as well. But yeah, I mean, probably not a belting by any means. I think, and don't underestimate what this game and this start of the season could do for careers. Like Maya Level Finn a year ago played in this derby, ends up at St Kilda. Obviously Alicia Blizzard ends up kicking 4 goals in this game, all 4 goals last year for East Fremantle. She's not there now because she's on Adelaide's list. There's just a couple of examples as well. Don't underestimate what it can do from an individual standpoint.
We can't wait for Saturday, can't we? It's going to be 4 exciting games. You're there at Revo Fitness Stadium for the grand final rematch. I'm going to be down at Freo Oval to see the derby, just to see what sort of feeling there is between the two sides, as has been anticipated by many forms of the media, not just this show, but also in print and on television as well. Everyone talks about the derby, and a derby in round 1. It's the best way to do it. Have it in the opening round. Get feeling into this game, and I reckon we're going to have ourselves a good Saturday of footy.
Bring it on, hey? Bring it on.
No doubt about it. Don't let
the weather impact that by any means.
Oh, it's winter sport. They just get on with it.
It kind of suits it,
It does,
footy of old. So
absolutely. Let's just get on with it, as they say, and they certainly will. Round 1 of the WAFLW season. All 4 games on Saturday. You can check out all the games on the WA Football YouTube channel, new home of WAFLW Football live action in 2026. Okay, we're going to throw to a break, but when we do, We're going on location for the first time. Swan Districts, they're eyeing a mission of redemption this year after their heartbreaking loss in the grand final. I went out to Bassendean to speak with their coach, Jason Burton. You can see that right after the break.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle, on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel, and also on the WA Sporting Hub YouTube channel in amalgamation with Front Row Screens and Associates, and also your podcast provider. Now, Rothy, don't you just love it when you get to take a show on the road? It's brilliant, isn't it?
Mate, it's there's nothing like being in the studio, but taking a show on the road, it's all for the experience.
Absolutely. And that's why in 2026 we're going on location. You might have seen our social media announcement a couple of weeks ago. Yours truly and Rothy, we're going to be taking the show out on the road for some special feature pieces throughout the 2026 season. I was first cab off the rank, and the first club was Swan Districts in the WAFLW competition. Of course, they've got a huge grand final rematch coming up on Saturday against Claremont, and they're eyeing a mission of redemption. While not denying that the grand final loss disappointed the Swans as a whole, their resolve just keeps on growing, as is demonstrated when I spoke with coach Jason Burton during the week as they got into their pre-season training and their final preparations for the big one on Saturday. This is Around the Waffle on location with Swan Districts. One could be forgiven that Swan Districts would feel the effects of a heartbreaking grand final loss. But try telling that to a bunch of determined girls ready for redemption. And a coach with a determined desire to make things right after the heartbreak of 2025.
Really proud of last year and what we were able to achieve, but that doesn't give us a head start on this year, and if anything, it probably puts a bit more of a target on us. So we're under no disillusions there that we've got to grind it out and reset and go from that base level that everyone's on, that even playing field. So, but the good news is that I think we got a bit of trust and belief there in what we could do.
Burton took the Swans to the grand final in his first year as WAFLW coach, and while disappointed about the loss, he was proud about the work ethic the players put in throughout the year.
They put in a mountain of work to get there and give ourselves that opportunity. So we're proud, but we also knew that we can go a bit further with it, and that's been the focus right from day one of this pre-season. Was we don't shy away from the fact that we gave ourselves that opportunity, but we didn't fully take it.
This year, the Swans welcomed Chloe Riley from East Fremantle, Jessica Cox from Box Hill, and former Fremantle AFLW star Ash Sharp, which should make up for the loss of Karis Daddario and Ava Stewart to the AFLW draft. And Jason Burton says that will fit in the balance quite perfectly to the side that he's putting on the field.
And we've got to find a good balance. We're really fortunate. So this year, I think we're the youngest or second youngest squad in the competition. So we're not afraid to throw younger players in there. And if you actually look back over the last 3 or 4 years, that's where we've been building to this point.
With great pressure to make a grand final comes great resolve. These Swans have it in spades in their chase for the premiership.
We want to make sure that we leave nothing behind now and go and try and obviously give ourselves the opportunity as the first step, but then to take that and really grind away.
Well, this is a vital test of Swan Districts' resolve in 2026 to see where they can get to the grand final and go one better than last year's heartbreaking defeat. And that test begins, somewhat fittingly, on Saturday at Revo Fitness Stadium when they take on the reigning premiers Claremont. At Steel Blue Oval, Paul Persick on location for Around the Waffle. So there you go. Jason Burton, he's determined. He wants to put things right.
Yeah, he does. And, it's an interesting one. Obviously acknowledging the grand final, but then moving on as well. And I think, there's probably no more team eager for the season to start than the Mighty Black Ducks.
Absolutely. Of course, they've got a big grand final rematch. You can check it out on YouTube on Saturday from about 4 o'clock. Now, we've made our picks for round 1. What about the whole season, Rothy? We're going to do that right after the break. Our WAFLW season picks. Fasten your seatbelts. You might be shocked by a few. Stay with us.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle. Paul Persick and Ethan Roth with you on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel in amalgamation with the WA Sporting Hub YouTube channel and also on your podcast service. We've made our tips for round 1, Rothy. Fans, let us know what your tips are for the opening round in our socials and also in the comments below our video. But now the season itself, Rothy. I'm going to let you go first to make your picks for 2026. So the hot seat is on you. Give us some indication of where the ladder is going to be, your premiers, grand finalists, Dara Kerr medalists, and leading goal kicker. Fire away.
Okay, so, well, as I said earlier in the show, I think Swan Districts have the best list in the comp. So they're, for mine, going to win the minor premiership. But I think Claremont will be right on their heels as well. I think, when it comes to the bottom teams in the finals, and I think West Perth will be in there. I think Subiaco might slide in, but also Perth. I think Perth might just miss out.
I've got some good recruits as well.
Might just miss out, but I think don't be surprised if they make a finals appearance. So for mine, coming out of the finals, I think East Fremantle, obviously they got knocked out first round of the finals last year, but I think they'll slide. And I think, South Fremantle might be another one, sort of similar mark to where they were last year. I still think, Peel rather and East Perth have some work to do, but it's obviously we're only experts until we see some evidence.
Absolutely. And what about your grand finalists, your premiers, your Dara Kerr medalists, and your leading goal kicker for the season?
Yep. So as I said, I think Swans and Claremont, I think will be a rematch, but I think Swans will get the redemption on them. So there's one for you. I think from a Dara Kerr medal point, Isabella Shannon for mine. She was up there last year in a team that won 3 games, albeit in their first season, which had never been done before. I think she's an absolute ball magnet, and maybe she'll get some votes stolen off her, but I think if she's at her best, she's their best player. So she's my Dara Kerr medal winner, and I think someone who was up there and maybe would have won it last year if she didn't miss out on some games last year. At a new club, Zoe Huggett for the leading goal kicker for mine. I think neck and neck with Taylor Edwards maybe again, but I think being that main focal point up forward for West Perth for Zoe Huggett will really do dividends.
She wants to escape that injury curse. Obviously, she had an interrupted season last year and, wants to make a big impact at a new club at West Perth. And I reckon her being put at the focal point in that forward line is going to do her the world of good. She's going to play her role with great gusto. Okay, I'm just going to warn you right now, some of my picks are going to shock you. Starting off with the ladder, Swan Districts will top it, and I will agree they've got the best list in the competition. And Subiaco have got one of them as well. So that's my top 2, South Fremantle and West Perth making the 4. I've got Claremont missing it. Jack Schwartz is going to be after me.
Why?
Well, think about it. Okay, they've got a very good side, but how much success fuel can you truly keep chasing? When you think about it, you've been in grand finals 4 of the last 5 years. You've won 3 premierships in the last 4. You're looking for a hat-trick. But also think about this. The competition's starting to tighten up when you think about it. West Perth, South Fremantle have recruited well. So too have Subiaco and Swan Districts. And maybe the close knit of the competition could see them the unlucky ones to miss out. Could be. I'm happy to be proven wrong, as I was last year in the final series. Perth won't be too far behind either. I've got them finishing in 6th. But I reckon they'll have more than 3 wins. East Fremantle, and I will, concur with you, they'll be the biggest sliders of the year. They've got a young side, almost like a Rogers Cup side when you think about it. And, you made a good point about so many 20, 21-year-olds being in that side. I reckon it's going to be a retransformation, so to speak, of their side this year. And then Peel Thunder and East Perth making up the bottom part of the ladder. I've got Subiaco winning the flag. I reckon with their preliminary final loss, that's going to instill a little bit more hunger in them. Baker Denneman is a hell of a coach. He can really galvanise them into a winning combination. And I've got them playing off in the grand final against Swan Districts, and the Lions will win it. For the Dara Kerr medal, I reckon it's going to be a tie. Petrevsky is going to go back-to-back. I mean, I can't go past her. She's the best midfielder in the competition. She gets 30, 35 possessions on average every week. And Isabella Shannon from Perth, she was right up there in the count last year. She was Perth's best in an expansion side that won 3 games, the best expansion season by any team in the WAFLW competition. I reckon she's going to be the barometer of that Perth side that could almost steal them to the finals. And Emily Maguire from Swan Districts, I reckon she's going to be the leading goal kicker of the season. So what about those, Rothy? I know you're shocked at one of them in particular. You've got the crazy eyes almost on me.
Claremont one is really interesting because they haven't lost anyone to the draft. Juliet Kelly was very unlucky not to get picked up, Ellie Gilby, but I think they're going to be better for the run WAFLW wise. And I understand what you're saying about how long can you keep winning. I think it's more than that. I think it's a culture of knowing how to win and doing that. So I think, yes, absolutely, I can see where you're coming from in terms of how long can you keep going. And by no means do I think they're going to go undefeated. I haven't even tipped them for the premiership, tipped them for the grand final. But
you did tip them undefeated last year, and thank golly you haven't done the same thing this year.
Yeah, I haven't done it this year. They are human after all.
Yes, that is true. No team is invincible in the competition, but we'll have to wait and see. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen in the WAFLW season coming up? Let us know. That does it for today's show, Rothy. WAFLW is among us. Saturday is going to be one hell of a day. You can feel it in your bones, can you?
Yeah, well, good luck to all the teams out there in the weather. But, we'll have plenty of talking points on Monday, and then we'll also have the WAFL to preview. But for now, it's the WAFLW that takes centre stage.
And for those that are heading to the games, stay safe out there. Make sure you do brave the conditions. It's going to be a wet and wild Saturday of WAFLW football. And if you miss out on any of the live games or the live broadcasts, don't fret. Thanks to District Promotions, we're going to bring you the Saturday scoreboard every week across the WAFL and WAFLW seasons. Updates on the scores at the end of the match. And, of course, we'll have a full breakdown of the matches on Monday in our recap show. Rothy, have a great call. That's on Saturday in the grand final rematch. I'll see you on Monday.
Thanks, Paul. See you then.
Fans, we thank you for your company on this Thursday preview show, the first of season 2026 on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel in collaboration with the WA Sporting Hub and, of course, on your podcast provider. You can check us out on our socials, Facebook and Instagram. Have yourselves a great Saturday at the footy. We'll see you on Monday.